Hi guys, I'm Stylish and this is another in-game VOD. This is going to be about how to adjust when the Protoss is doing something sneaky. And usually the Protoss is doing something sneaky because it's a pretty sneaky race. So it's really good that you have the ability to adjust to what he does. Anyway, it is really good to have some solid build orders, and there are a pretty good amount of build orders versus Protoss that usually can handle many of the different strategies that the Protoss can do. But sometimes when he is doing like a one gate DT rush, or especially a one gate proxy DT rush, the DT is gonna get into your base at about 5 minutes and 30 seconds. And if you do the normal thing that you can do, like building a factory and then expansion, and then after your second tank you're gonna make eBay as fast as possible, your turret isn't gonna be up in your main in your natural, before 5 minutes and 45 seconds or something like that. So that means that you're actually gonna get owned by that Dark Temper, and sometimes you don't have time to make another turret, and you actually lose the game just because of that. So it's really important that you take notice of what you scout and something like that. Usually when you scout a Protoss, the Protoss player won't have anything in his base when you get there, even if you get there on the last try, because usually he makes a goon first. But sometimes he also makes a Zealot first, and that's usually to set some pressure on you. Anyway, because of that, he wants to set pressure on you. It's very good to place your buildings in a very good position. Even if you're not going to wall in, you can place your buildings so that a Marine can go through a couple of buildings, but the Zealot cannot. So the Zealot have to go around, and the Marine can start shooting the Zealot, and then just walk through that narrow passage again, and the Zealot have to walk all the way around again, and therefore one Marine can actually beat a Zealot. So what you see here is that I open with the normal FD, that is fake double opening, but I'm actually going to do the 5FactPush, so I'm not going to make any more than 5 Marines. And as you can see here, I make my barrack at a placement where I can place my second supply, so between the supply and the barrack only the Marine can get through. And I also add a factory to kind of complete the wall in there. Although the factory placement there isn't really solid, Zealot can actually get through there. Anyway, it's always a bad thing when you scout him on the last try, because sometimes he blocks off his choke with one Zealot and one probe, and that can actually mean that he's doing pretty much anything. So then you have to be extra cautious, but usually you can follow up with your normal game plan. But if I don't scout him, usually with the 5Fact I make another vulture. On the build order I only make one vulture, but if I cannot scout his base, I make 2 vultures, and I lay like 2 lines of mines outside my base. So I'm gonna be able to stop 2 Dark Templars before my actual E base up, because the Dark Templar can actually take 3 hits before he's dead from mines. And as you can see here, when I scouted him, I saw 2 Zealots on the ramp, and that usually, or almost always, means that he's going like a fast Dark Templar or a fast Reaverdrop. So what I do is I position my SCV outside his base to see if he do any sort of Dragoon or Zealot attempt to attack my natural. But since I can see that he's not moving out, I use my first initial Marines to scout all the locations where I think that he might have put a proxy gate or proxy robo, and that is really good to do if you have multitasking for it, because now I know there isn't any gateway or any robotics bay at a close position to my base. And also what I did now is, because I really believe that this guy is going to do a Dark Temple rush, so what I did is I actually made my eBay before my command center, and that will make that will give you less economy, but I think it's very important that you do this, especially if he makes 2 Zealots, because then you're going to be safe versus those fast Dark Templars, and anyway you're not going to be behind economically, because he he hasn't taken his expansion as well, so it's a good thing. Anyway, then take your expansion and then follow up with the normal game plan. Usually you cannot follow up with the normal supply count when you're making the 5FactPush, but you can usually do the buildings in the same order. It's just gonna happen at different supplies. Anyway, what I do also is that I float my barrack here towards his expansion at a position where he cannot fire at it with goons, and just to see if he takes his expansion or something like that. And also be sure that use your first vulture very well. First you place three mines, and then you take the vulture and you start scouting and go around the map. Like, don't go at the obvious closest range to his main. Go around the map so you won't bump into any goons or anything like that, and then try to sneak into his main. Usually if I got my SV up in his main and I know that I won't be able to get into his main with my vulture, I actually just put it at the most obvious position for him to take a third. So that vulture will actually give me information of if he's taking a third or whatever he does, and that's really good. And also be sure in this scenario that you, when you think he's gonna DT rush, have the eBay floating over the turret so he cannot target the turret. As you see here, I scouted that he actually did the Robo Bay with the Reaver, and he made kind of an all-in attack on my main natural here. But I had mines and I had target placement on good position, and I had tanks, so that attack was pretty much owned anyway. And the way I reacted when I saw that he was going one gate, two zealots and fast Robo Bay, it was that I planted those extra mines. So I had 6 mines. I made 2 more turrets, one in my main and one at the location where he cannot sneak through with his shuttle. So actually he cannot get into my main now without going all the way around my natural on the right side, and that's what I'm gonna stop soon here. Anyway, if he does that, he's gonna be in my base pretty late, and usually the Protoss doesn't think of that first. He wanna try the most close position first, so be sure to put up turrets there first. And also, when I scouted his low echo fast Reaver build, is that I added an armory really fast, because I really need fast glides if he somehow manages to get a shuttle into my base, because that can be really frustrating. And also he can have shuttle speed, so he can get through my wall of turrets if he gets shuttle speed. Then you're never totally safe unless you have goliaths. So what I do here is that I complete my turret wall in, so he cannot get into my base from any angle if he hasn't gotten shuttle speed. And also I upgrade +1 attack and the range upgrade for the glides. And what I really want to do here is that I just want to defend his first attack, because he's going to make a first attack because he made the command center much earlier than he made his nexus. And if that attack is defeated properly, like I did it this time, then just gather up, like, so you have 5 or 6 tanks or something like that, and then move out with 2 or 3 goliaths. Oh, I keep yawning all the time. I don't know really why. Anyway, I have 4 factories, and I do the 4 factory push now because I have eventually given up the thought of doing the 5FactPush, because it's not going to work versus what he's done, and the timings are going to be wrong now anyway. So what I do is I use my first like 8 tanks, and I take like a couple of marines and 2 glides with range and some SCVs, and I just move out because I know that he's taking his expansion by this time, because I had my barrack there and I floated, and I saw that he actually took his expansion. And there are actually just like a few options he can do after such a failed attack. He can take his expansion and maybe also another expansion, 3 expansions, but usually if the attack is failing so much, he only gonna take 1 expansion. Or he can add like a couple of gateways and do another all-in attack later on. So it's very important that you have a floating building there to see whether he's taking that expansion or not. And then I just move out at the time where he won't be able to have any seal-out speed or anything like that. So I can just attack with tanks and goliaths, and he's probably gonna have 1 shuttle with the Reaver if the Reaver didn't die. And just try to snap the shuttle if you have the chance with your goliaths and just siege the tanks to kill the goons, and be sure to have them spread up. Usually you don't have to siege all the tanks. Siege like 2 or 3 tanks and then charge with the rest of the tanks. And when his Reaver actually fires a shot at your tanks, take those tanks and move them backwards. Because if the tank is moving at the opposite direction from the scarab, it's only going to take half damage. And also, when I first moved out with my initial push here, I started upgrading vulture speed and rally point vultures, because that's the only weak point of this rush. It's if he has a lot of silhouettes. So basically, you want to get like 8 vultures there pretty quick and have mines placed to make your push a lot stronger. And since I only have 4 factories, I take my 3rd command center pretty fast after knowing that my push is successful. Instead of making 6 facts directly, because if you make 6 facts directly, you aren't going to be able to have that 3rd up so fast. And also, it's very important that you start upgrading with your armory right after your attack is finished. Start upgrading armor. And also, what I do here is I do a little trick. I put all my tanks close to his cliff so they can actually target his gateway line here. And I already had a Barrack to scout his expansion, and I just take that to float it towards his main, and that will give the tanks the vision they need to kill his gateways, and that's basically gonna be it. And this is basically gonna be GG, because everything he can do right now is mass up gateways from one base. That's gonna be like 4 or 5 gateways, and then try one last push with like 2 shuttles and just try to overwhelm you. But if you can get those gateways in time, that's not gonna happen. And well, that's basically it. This is one way you can adjust to what the protest does, and I hope this was informative enough. Good luck and have fun on